Hi there and welcome. So in this video we are going to focus on creating the HUD for the player. The HUD allows us to display information on the screen, such as how many retries you have or how much score you have. So the first thing we are going to do is if you open up your content drawer, you can see that we are having an actors folder. I'm gonna drag this actors folder into a blueprints folder. Move here. If you go to the blueprints folder, you can see that we are having the actors folder, and the actors folder is really empty. So I'm gonna go back to the blueprints folder, and we are gonna drag in our portals. These are also actors. I'm gonna drag them into actors folder here. Move. This allows us to, have a better structure in our project and organize our work. So I'm gonna create another folder here for a controller. I'm gonna call it controller. And let's see. We are having a folder called game modes here. I'm gonna drag this into blueprints really, because this is a type of blueprint. So select it and choose, drag and choose move here. Yeah. Sometimes when dragging, you will see that the folder you just dragged is still there for some reason. And so if you look at the blueprints folder, I'm now having a game modes folder with the game mode here. But for some reason, this folder was not really deleted. I just moved it. That was not a copy. So it should disappear. But sometimes it happens that this does not disappear. So you can try right-clicking on this folder and choose Update Redirected References. You will get let's see, redirector update report. It's all reference to redirect was successfully updated. I'm gonna choose delete unreferenced redirectors. So in order to fix this issue, usually you wanna do this redirector update, and it's usually one of the options that solves this issue. I'm gonna click on delete unreferenced redirectors and see if this works. All right. Let's see. It seems like it didn't really remove the game modes folder, so I'm gonna, let's see if I can delete it now. Let's give it one more try. Now it worked. So if you did that update redirectors and just followed what I just did, try to delete the folder again and it should work. If that doesn't still work, you might want to manually go into your project in Windows and delete it manually through the Explorer from there. Okay? So really, now we are having our work a little bit more organized because these are blueprints and we want to have them in a blueprints folder. So I'm having a game mode here. So what I'm going to do is create another folder. I was intending to create a folder for the controller, but we also need one more folder for our widgets. So I'm going to call this widgets. I'm going to rename this to controllers just to stay consistent. We need our own controller. I think we are currently using some other controller. I'm just gonna double check that. What you can do to double check that is to, let's see, worlds. If I go to world settings, you can see that we're having ball game mode. And if I open up this game mode, okay, currently it's using this default built-in controller in Unreal. We want our own controller. I'm gonna soon explain why, and the reason for that is because we want to create our HUD widget from there. So as a good practice, I always create my own game mode and I always create my own controller class. So if you go to the controllers, I'm gonna right click, choose blueprint class, player controller. I'm gonna call it BP underscore ball controller. And if you go back to the blueprints, you go to your game modes and open up your ball game mode. I'm gonna set the play controller class to ball controller. So now we are having our own controller. I'm gonna compile and save and close this down. And by the way, I want to show you one more thing in case you haven't seen it yet. We are having a ball controller, and you can see that we are having our own default palm class here as well. That is the ball. So I'm going to close it again. So now let's go back to the blueprints. Let's go to the widgets folder, and we need to create our own HUD widget. Okay. This is the widget that we will place everything in. It's like a container for all the visual stuff that we want to show on the screen. So what I'm going to do is go to right click, go to user interface widget, call it user widget. I'm going to go WBP. I'm going to call it HUD. Open it up. I'm going to add a canvas panel to it. Excuse me. So the canvas panel allows us to add things to it and move them around and place them wherever we want. I'm going to show you an example of what I mean with that. Suppose that I want to add a button. The canvas panel allows me to manually drag and drop it wherever I want within this canvas panel. If you don't use a canvas panel, you cannot do this. Place them wherever you want. But really, the purpose of this HUD widget is that, as I said, it works as a container. So all we are going to have inside of this one is just a canvas panel, nothing else, okay? So this will be a container, and onto this, we will add any other widget we want to display on the screen. I'm going to compile and save this. You will soon enough see how this works. So now, if you go back to the blueprints, controllers, I'm going to open up a controller here. I'm going to go to the event graph, and we have something called begin play. We are now in the event begin play. We are going to create our widget, this HUD widget, and add it to the viewport. So I'm going to right click, do a search for create widget, connect these together, and I'm going to search for that HUD widget we just created. It only contains, well, canvas panel. Once this is created, I'm going to promote this to a variable so we have a reference to it. I'm gonna call it HUD, or maybe we can call it widget blueprint HUD. So now that this one is promoted to a variable so we can keep a reference to it, I'm gonna add it to the viewport. Just search for add to viewport. We need to add it to the viewport in order to be able to see it on the screen, really. If you don't do that, you will not see it. And so currently, if we run this, you will realize that it looks like nothing happened, because if I run this, you can see that where is the widget? Well, we only have a canvas panel on it, so you can't really see it. But to test and see that the adding of this is really working, I mean, in order to test that the HUD is really there, we can do this. If you click on browse here and open up your HUD widget, let's just add something here. The reason for just adding something, I want to see if there is anything, anything at all located on the HUD. Let's say you want to add a text block here, and you want to call it retries, something like that. I'm going to increase the size of it. Let's try a size of 80. I'm going to change the color to, something like blue. Blue or red maybe. It's really up to you which color you want. I'm gonna go with something like, I think red is good, or maybe something greenish. I think this is good. Orange-like color. I'm gonna click on OK, compile and save. So we are having a text component in our HUD, and the HUD is added to the viewport, because you can see that here. So that text should be visible now. And as you can see, it says retries free. So this way we can easily place stuff onto onto our screen and provide some information to the player. And now we have retries. We should add maybe score also. So I'm gonna add that. And if you want, as a mini challenge, you can pause the video from here and try to add a score text and make sure to anchor it properly. I'm going to place mine to the top right. So currently, if you look here for the retries, this is anchored to the top left. So it's up to you where you want to place score text, either to the top left or to the top right, but make sure to anchor it properly and set the size and color properly so you can see it. Pause the video and give this a try, otherwise we will do this together. Okay, hopefully you did well. It's fairly easy. So let's do that. I'm going to go to the HUD widget. If you look at this white anchor icon here, it looks like a flower almost. It's to the top left. So this is anchored to the top left. This means that even if our screen is increased in size or shrinks in size, this text called retries here, it will adapt itself to the top left of the screen. Okay, it will keep its position relative to the top left of the screen because this is anchored to the top left. So really, I think I'm gonna add a score text. I'm gonna move this a little bit more upwards. I'm gonna click on this, right click and duplicate it. So I'm gonna rename this txt underscore retries. This is how many attempts we have. And for this text, I'm gonna rename it txt underscore score. I'm gonna change the name for the score. Currently, I'm gonna set it to 0. Let's change the color to something like green-like. And I'm gonna make sure these are anchored to the top left. And also, if you click on the first text there, you can see that the position in X is 36. I'm gonna make sure we are having the exact same position in X for this one here. All right, now it looks better. So let's test one more time to see how this looks. And by the way, if you click on this score text here, make sure it's set to variable. This means that we will be able to access it from the graph. Okay, let me just show you what I mean with that. If you go to the graph here, you can see that we are having access to these two variables here, retries and score. And because of this, we will be able to update them from the HUD. And we will add functionality to do that soon enough. Because as the player gains points, we want to update points on the HUD and so on. So for now, let us just check how it looks like with these two texts. I think this is too light, way too bright green. I'm gonna change it to a little bit dark green, something like that. Okay, let's see the results. All right, I think green is a little bit hard to see in my opinion. I don't know if that is visible for you, but feel free to change the color if you want to. I'm gonna, let's see, change the position to up there a little bit below that retries text. And let's change the colors to something else. gonna go with yeah, score something like light blue. Maybe yeah. I think this color is good enough. We can always change that later on. I'm gonna compile and test it one more time. Even that color is hard to see, but really tweak that to your own liking. This is really it for this video. Now we have a retries text and we have a score text, but currently they can't be updated, so that's something we will need to fix. So whenever we pick up things, for example, when picking up things, we should get points for that, right? And whenever we fall down somewhere, we should get one less retry point. So you totally have free retries. And eventually, in the end of this project, we will also start building up our levels. So now we are having the portal and everything else, which we can use, and it will look pretty cool. All right, thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video.